check. I request everybody to take their seat, please. Jai Jagannath, good evening to all. Today on this auspicious day of 26th November, we are observing the Constitution Day where our Constitution was adopted by the people of India. So on this auspicious day, we are celebrating Indian Constitution Day and 7th Law Lecture on the topic, the effect of Indian civilizational ethos on Indian Constitution. So I request our Honorable our Honorable Chief Justice Harish Tandon sir to please come and add on the podium, sir. And our Chief Speaker, Honorable Sri Justice Sasikant Mishra, Judge Orissa High Court, please. I request you, sir, to add on the podium, sir. I request our President, sir, to come and add on the seat. And I request our Vice President, sir, please come and add on the seat. Now I request our President, sir, to start the welcome address.
I'm sorry there is no time for address. Good evening to all. My Lord, Honorable Chief Justice Harish Tandon, the Chief Justice of Orissa High Court, Honorable Justice Sasikant Mishra, Honorable Judges of Orissa High Court, Vice President of the Bar Association, Sri Siddharth Das, Secretary of the Bar Association, Sri Abhijit Patnaik, all office bearers of our Bar Association, learned senior advocates, learned members of the Bar Association, learned Registrar General and officers of the registry, ladies and gentlemen. Today, for the first time, our Bar Association is commemorating Constitution Day, which was adopted on 26 November 1949. Constitution is the backbone of our country. The High Court is a constitutional court, and we are all practicing in High Court. Therefore, today, that is Constitution Day, is most important day for us. Today, for the first time, Honorable Chief Justice decided to celebrate Constitution Day in the High Court premises. We express our deep gratitude to Honorable Chief Justice and companion judges for commemorating Constitution Day for the first time in High Court. We are privileged to have erudite speakers. My Lord the Chief Justice and Honorable Justice Sasikant Mishra will enlighten us on the values and adaptability of the Constitution by constitutional courts in judicial delivery system. We welcome Honorable Chief Justice and Honorable Justice Sasikant Mishra. Thank you.
I request our executive body member Satya to please give a bouquet of flower to our Honorable Chief Justice, sir. I request Annapurna Madam to give a bouquet of flower to Honorable Justice Mishra, sir. I request Sumanta, our executive body member, to give a bouquet of flower to our President, sir. I request Surendra, sir, our executive body member, to give a bouquet of flower to Vice President, sir. Now I request our Chief Guest, Honorable Sri Justice Harish Tandon, sir, Chief Justice Orissa High Court, to deliver his address.
Good evening to all of you, the distinguished guests on the days and of the days, my brothers and sister judges who are present in this momentous occasion where we are commemorating the Constitution Day. The executive members of the Bar Association of the Orissa High Court, the junior members, the members of the registry, ladies and gentlemen. It is really a very momentous occasion or a proud moment to commemorate a particular day as a Constitution Day. I do not want to take much time as I have not really been, I think, ordained by the President and the Secretary of the Bar Association to speak much on this occasions. I have already told about the making of the constitutions in the morning functions, which was organized by the High Court, and all of you were the participants therein. I will be only talking something about the constitution book which has come. It is the longest constitution in the world, containing 395 articles, 22 parts, and many schedules. I think no other country has embraced such living document like a constitution which we adopted. It is not typeset or a printed. It is calligraphic, depicting our culture, our traditions, ranging from the Mohenjo-daro in the Indus Valley to Vedic era to the Mughal period and the freedom movements. It's really a vignette of the pictorial culture and the traditions. And I would not be wrong if I say that this was conceptualized in Shantiniketan by Acharya Nandalal Bose. It was done at Delhi by Prem Bihari, who calligraphed it. Each page is conveying a special message of our values, which we inhered in all of us, which is inherent in all of us, and which we inherited from our ancestors. The very unique feature of our constitution, which make it distinct from the other constitutions of the country, is the fundamental rights and the directive principles having incorporated in part 3 and part 4 thereof. Though we give to ourselves a fundamental rights, but there was no space which was given by us when the Constitution was adopted on 26th of November 1949 by the Constituent Assembly to give a space for our fundamental duties. The fundamental duties was incorporated in a separate chapter, I think chapter 4 capital A, by 42nd Amendment, which contains 10 commitments, and I always use the term as a 10 commandments. These are the 10 fundamental duties which every citizen must adhere to, must follow, not only to protect the fundamental rights, but also their collective duties and responsibilities towards the society. Though it remained for a pretty long time, but now we subsequently added one more fundamental duties by virtue of an 86th Amendment in 2002, by which we impose ourselves the responsibility as a parent to provide an education to the children between the age of 66 to 14 years. The Constitution has traveled a long journey. Recently, we celebrated 75 years. And I believe that the terrain was not so smooth, but have passed on to various difficulties. And I believe that the posterity will definitely see that the Constitution, being the living document, remained in the heart and the soul of every citizen of the country. With these words, I once again congratulate all of you for giving this Constitution to us. Jai Hind, Jai Hind.
Now I request our Chief Speaker, Honorable Sri Justice Sasikant Misra sir, to deliver his uh, speech.
Namaskar and a very good evening to all. It is always a pleasure to come to this hallowed precincts of the Orissa High Court Bar Association. It's always like a homecoming. This is the place where my journey in the judicial field started, in the legal field rather, almost 30 years back. Well, the Honorable Chief Justice has left the hall, but still, he's the chief guest. Sri Manoj Kumar Mishra, the President of High Court Bar Association, my esteemed colleagues on the bench, learned senior advocates, ladies and gentlemen. We are celebrating the day which we call Law Day, or sometimes it is called the Constitution Day, because we have adopted the Constitution on this day in 1949. The topic has been chosen with care, and I must congratulate the Bar Association, the President, the Vice President, the Secretary for choosing this topic. Civilization, the effect of civilizational ethos on Indian Constitution. On first blush, there seems to be no such connection. But then the Chief Justice pointed out, where the original Constitution is kept in the Parliament, in a very protected chamber, it is written by hand, the calligraphy which he was referring to. It contains the paintings, it's a pictorial representation of Indian culture, Indian civilization, the legacy of our forefathers. What do we mean by the term civilizational ethos? Civilization we all know, I need not dwell upon that. But ethos, well, ethos means, loosely speaking, it would mean the underlying spirit, the essence, the principle, the foundation on which a thing stands. So, when we talk of civilizational ethos, we are basically referring to the fundamental or the essence of our values, of our ideals, of our beliefs, and of our attitudes. It could be cultural, it could be spiritual, it could be political, ethical. These are the values that we have cherished. So, like for instance, I will give you a small example. In Orissa at least, or why across at least in North India, I have seen that if our leg touches somebody's body, we instinctively salute him and say Vishnu. Where is the sanction for it, sir? If we search the scriptures, probably we will not find. But here the ethos is, the underlying, the subconscious impulse is that the body is nothing but where the spirit dwells. God in the form of spirit dwells in his body. That is why we pay respect. This is ethos. I just wanted to give you an example. Another example would be when somebody dies, we carry the dead body saying Ram Nam Satya Hai or whatever. there may be difference. We remind ourselves that this body is nothing. What is truth is that which has departed. We remind ourselves by saying Ram Nam Satya Hai. So this is our civilizational ethos. Maybe if we ask somebody, he may not be able to answer. But this is ingrained in our psyche. I will briefly refer to another example. We have all seen Ratha Jatra. In Ratha Jatra, the Gajapati, the king of Puri, he performs Chhera Pohra. Well, what does it signify? Sweeping the chariot, maybe by using a golden broom. By whom? By the ruler, by the sovereign. So the underlying message that goes, the ethos is, we show our subservience to the ruler of this universe. And the king, he collectively represents the subjects, the citizenry. So these are some of the examples that I wanted to give about, just to drive home the point as to what is ethos. Now coming to the Constitution briefly. Constitution is the mother of all laws. I need not dwell upon what is Constitution, who drafted it, how many articles it contains. The Chief Justice has given a brief idea. I will say that it reflects the idea of our nation. In other words, it reflects the idea called India. Please keep in mind, these are very, very important words that I am using deliberately. The Constitution gives us the idea of India. Let me tell you how. The Constitution starts with the words, we the people of India. You are all lawyers. Have you seen any other law starting with these words? Does the penal code say, we the people of India have enacted the penal code for us? Or for that matter, the Orissa Cooperative Societies Act? No. This is the only document which is the mother of all laws. It says that we the people of India. So it is by the Indian people, of the Indian people, and for the Indian people. So no other law states so, as I have said. And any other law that is enacted has to conform to the constitutional principles. Article 13(2), yes. And I mean enacted law. And even a circular, government issues a circular, that will also be treated, that will also form part of the law. And Article 13(2) says that any such law which does not conform to Part 3 of the Constitution is invalid. It can be declared so by a constitutional court. We'll briefly, and the Chief Justice also said that when the Constitution was enacted and the journey it has undertaken, it has not been a very smooth journey. Just go back in time to 1947, 48 and 49. India was politically divided. We had more than 500 princely states. We were geographically the same entity, politically different, but culturally the same. That is what Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had in mind when he took the task of uniting all the 550 or odd princely states. And today we have one landmass, one cultural, one political, apart from the geographical landmass called India. It is said that the provisions of the Constitution of India are largely based on the Government of India Act of 1935. Yes, it is true. And as all of you know, some of the provisions have been borrowed from different countries, like American Constitution, the English Constitution, then Ireland, Australia, Japan, Germany, France, and even South Africa. But I'll tell you, this Constitution, even though it has been borrowed from all these countries, it is hardly foreign in character. As we say, फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तानी. Whatever you may say about the Constitution, whatever country you may find in it, but the dil is Hindustani. And this is what I would like to demonstrate. When I was a district judge around 10-11 years ago, I was working as the member secretary of the State Legal Services Authority. On the direction of the High Court, we had to attend a talk by a former Chief Justice of Sri Lanka, His name was Justice Mohan Paris. Now, in course of his deliberations, he was a barrister who had spent considerable time in England, including with stalwarts like Lord Denning. And he said, the idea that the English taught us law is fallacious. Only fools can think like that. This is what he said. He said, sir, we are a country, we are a civilization that goes back 5,000 years. The English came only 300, 400 years back. So what were we doing for all these years? We knew nothing. We were all pagans. We were all, unsophisticated beings, having no knowledge that the English came and gave everything to us. It cannot just happen. It actually set me thinking. And we have worked very hard on this. In fact, the Judicial History of Orissa, Volume 1, which has been prepared by the High Court, actually emphasizes on this. I will give you an example straight away. Now, the Chief Justice also talked about the directive principles of state policy, which, as all of you know, the students of Constitution, they know that this concept has been borrowed from the Irish Constitution. Directive principles of state policy. I will just read one of the articles. Article 38 reads, the heading is, State to secure a social order for the promotion of welfare of the people. Please pay attention to the words. State to secure a social order for the promotion of welfare of the people. Clause 1 of it reads, the state shall strive to promote the welfare of the people by securing and protecting as effectively as it may a social order in which justice, social, economic and political shall inform all the institutions of national life. Here there is emphasis. The goal is promotion of the welfare of the people, and the means is justice. Now, what I will do is, I will read a mantra. This mantra I have recited many times in this very hall. It's a popular Shanti mantra, usually recited by the priests at the end of a puja. It goes like this. Swasti prajabhyo paripalayantam nyayena margena mahig mahisha go brahmanebhyo shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Whatever I read in English is exactly what I have said in Sanskrit. If you dissect the words, if you make a closer scrutiny of the words, you will find the same thing. There is nothing Irish about it. Everything is Indian. As I said, fir bhi dil hai Hindustani. This is the ethos on which Article 38 stands. So, what it means actually, I forgot to tell you, it means this mantra. It says, let good things occur to the king of the country. Let us replace it by the state, because now state is the sovereign, who looks after his people well, treading the path of justice. Nyayena margena mahing mahisha. Then let the material and intellectual resources be well protected. Let all people be happy. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Nothing from Ireland. Everything from this country, from this civilization that has been there for the last 5,000 years or even more. We do not know. And the underlying idea is the same. I will give a few more examples to drive home the point. In the Shanti Parva of Mahabharata, Bhishma, grandsire Bhishma, Pitamaha, he advises Yudhishthira how to rule the country. He says, I have just quoted a few. He says, rule the country according to dharma, or else you will lose it. Rule the country in such a way that nobody should be unhappy. Know that happiness of the people is happiness of the king. Here dharma is used in the sense of justice, righteousness. Is it not the same thing? Rule the country according to dharma, or else you rule the country in such a way that nobody should be unhappy. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Same. Welfare of the people. And for want of time, I will skip. But in Ramayana, before leaving for exile, when Lord Rama had gone on exile, when Bharata came to meet him and said that I will carry your sandals, I will place them, and I will rule on your behalf, Lord Rama gave him, a lot of tips of statecraft. Chief among them is that you must act in such a manner that there will be maximum welfare for maximum people. This is what the Constitution says. We have written, in fact, nothing new. Then I will come a little later to Arthashastra. I will quote another shloka. Arthashastra of Kautilya. In fact, it is probably the earliest compilation on statecraft, which includes politics, which includes the economy, how to handle the economy, and of course the legal side also. It says, Praja sukhe sukhang ragyah prajanang cha hite hitam natma priyang hitang ragyang prajanang tu priyam hitam, which means the king's happiness, loosely translated, it means the king's happiness lies in the happiness of his subjects, not his own. There can be no personal happiness here. It has to be of collective happiness. Same sentiment. Now, Arthashastra, as you know, said that the king has two basic duties. When he says Praja Paripalana, means ruling over the subjects, which is also present here, present in the modern days. He says Shishta Paripalana and Dushta Nigraha. So, on one hand, you have to protect the law-abiding subjects, and on the other, you have to punish the offenders. Composite view is what has been taken in Arthashastra. Then we come to another shloka, which is a very, very famous. It says, Dharmo eva hatohanti dharma rakshati rakshitaha tasmat dharma tyajanneva mano dharmo hato vadit. It's from a treatise called Nitya Niti. It says, one who does not protect dharma, again read it as justice, is not protected by dharma. But one who does is protected by dharma. Hence, dharma should never be discarded. For dharma discarded shall cause one to perish. Nothing much to explain here. You have to abide by justice. Here we are talking of the rule of law. The rule of law is a basic feature of our constitution. I will give you a small example. Look, we are going on the road. There's one single traffic policeman. He just raises his hands at us. Everybody stops. What if nobody will care? We may ask that question, who are you to stop us? But inwardly, we inherently, we acknowledge the adherence to the principle of rule of law. That is why we stop. He represents the principle that is to be respected, that is to be obeyed. And in fact, that is the reason why it is said that you may be howsoever so high, but you are not above law. That is why there have been instances in this country when a person who has been the chief minister today lands in jail tomorrow. This happens. And have you ever asked, what if the judge passes an order, says that you arrest this person, and the policeman says, sorry sir, I will not do it. Do whatever you like. No, I will send you to jail. No, who will take me to jail? But jail nabo ki? Mu to bandhingi nahi tha. Mu shunibi na pan kotha. Kon karibe? You know, I have the power of contempt. I impose a fine on you. Fine diyantu. Mu debi ni. Kintu semti hochi. Everybody, once we pass an order, everybody obeys. Why? Again, rule of law. The supremacy of rule of law. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. The same principle that I was talking about is embedded in the constitution. Then one last shloka, not shloka, it is just one utterance. It says, Yato dharmo stato jaya. You'll see it in the emblem of the Supreme Court of India. Wherever there is justice or dharma, there is victory. Look, the Supreme Court, which is the final arbiter when it comes to the constitutional provisions, has adopted it as its emblem. It is not for nothing. Now, we have talked about this dharma, this justice. What is basically justice? To give what is due. That is called justice. We have seen the preamble. I need not read it. In preamble, we say we have adopted this constitution. We have set out 4 goals basically. First and foremost is justice. We say justice, social, economic, political. Then we talk of liberty, we talk of equality, then we talk of fraternity. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to grade them, but the first thing that comes is justice. So justice is the engine which runs the constitution. So each and every single provision has to conform to this goal. Justice is the primary goal. And the Chief Justice has talked about the fundamental rights. Let us talk about a few fundamental rights and then I'll close. Article 14. Look again, that example of traffic police. He is the traffic police. He is probably the traffic constable, probably at the lowest rung of the hierarchy of the police department. But even if the DGP comes on that way, he has to stop. Even the High Court judge has to stop. And we do that every day. We can't say that we are holding a constitutional post. We are a very high position. We will go away. We will not look at the red light. Recently, I was in England. I was surprised to find not a single policeman manning any of the places. In London, which is around 70, 80 people, lakh people stay there, not a single policeman there. In Dubai also, I've seen it. But it is running very smoothly. So, because the people are conscious. Conscious of what? Conscious not only of their rights, but of their duties. Otherwise, what will happen is something called, which Kautilya or Chanakya, as we also call him, had written in Arthashastra, a thing called Matsyanaya, the law of the fish, Matsyanaya. It's a situation where a bigger fish swallows the smaller fish. It usually happens. Bada macho, chota macho khaye. So if we have no rule of law, when I try to give you an example, if I pass an order and the policeman says, no, sir, I will not obey you, then this is what is going to happen. So, Article 14 says equality before law and equal protection of law. Can I pass an order saying that you are a poor man, I can't grant you bail, I will not grant you bail. Only a rich man, I will grant bail. Only a politically, influential person, I will grant bail. No. That is why in the court, Tuleva Nyayastovadharaniya. You have seen in the Chief Justice's court. Tuleva means balance. Tula means balance. We hold it in balance. Whoever comes without fear, favor, affection and ill will. Every day we put Article 14 into operation through our orders. And you, being the interface between the client and the court, you bring it to the court. Then between Articles 20, 21 and 22 and also of course Article 14 lies the very basis of criminal jurisprudence. I need not emphasize because of want of time. I will only briefly refer to Article 20. It refers to three things: ex post facto law, double jeopardy, and a protection against the self-incrimination. We use it all the time in our criminal jurisprudence. And Article 22, that 24 hours, the right to be informed of the grounds of arrest, right to counsel, which is very important. I need a counsel. I need a person who understands the law to represent me in the court. Otherwise, what will happen is Matsyanaya. You see the same link. And if you, as we have researched and we have found out, there were many smritikaras. They used to write those, what is known as smritis. In those smritis, you'll find concepts like constructive res judicata, how the trial should happen. Everything in detail was prevalent in India or in the different parts of India. Bhishma also told Yudhishthira finally that do not punish the faultless, or he meant innocent. Jahar doso nahi taku tame dandito karo nahi. Then, coming a little later to recorded history, in the outskirts of Bhubaneswar, Dholagiri, we have Ashoka's inscription. In one particular inscription, which we have copied and kept in our museum, you will find he addresses the judicial officers of his state. He says, you must go around because it so happens that an innocent person is imprisoned innocent man is arrested. In those cases, the imprisonment has to be cancelled, which means bail. The concept of bail may have changed, but basic, the motive is the same. So this is also a part of our civilization. Ashoka, the emperor. So now Article 21, which is according to me the most important pillar of the constitutional principles. Now the Supreme Court and the High Courts also, we have been giving extended meanings to this article. Now a person, the classic example would be of a person who is in jail. His liberty is curtailed. To that extent, Article 21 remains suspended. But is it so? No. His right to life, which includes his right to live with all human dignity, remains as it is. That is why the local district judge has to visit the jail to see what he is eating, how he is sleeping, whether he is getting the medicines or not. All these things. So you see the interplay between different facets of Article 21. Liberty is curbed, all right. He cannot go outside. So these things are already there in our constitution. I am grateful to the Chief Justice that he referred to fundamental duties. I will only refer to 3 and I will close. Article 51A, Clause A. It says to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. All right. So what is the abide by the Constitution is? We know we have to obey, we have to follow its provisions and respect its ideals and institutions. Institutions, yes, court is one institution. The government, the executive, the legislature, these are all institutions. What is the ideal? Ideal is what exactly we have been discussing here. The civilizational ethos embedded in the articles of the Constitution. Then B, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. So national struggle for freedom, Bharat Chodo, Quit India, Satyagraha and all those things. No, it was based on one principle borrowed from Mundaka Upanishad, Satyameva Jayate, led by Mahatma Gandhi. Tell me you don't agree with me. Yes, that is the ideals. That is the ideal on which the freedom struggle was founded in our country, led by Mahatma Gandhi. It has been enjoined as a duty to cherish this ideal, to follow this ideal. It's our duty now, constitutional duty. Yes, it's not justiciable, but it still is something to look up to. Then the third thing is to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. Look, the Constitution is talking about the composite culture and puts it as our duty. So all that we have discussed of our civilization, the ethos of it, the principle, the essence, the underlying reality, the underlying, I would say it is the very foundation of our civilization. That is to be seen in the Constitution, and in fact I will go so far to say it is what has actually subconsciously, motivated, influenced the members of the Constituent Assembly. Article 38 and 39, 39A, 38 I have spoken about, and 39A is another which seeks to provide legal aid to the poor and all that. I will close by referring to one statement of Nani Palkhiwala, the great jurist. He said, after spending so much of so many years in the judiciary and the public life, I am convinced that it is not possible to improve upon the ideals, the lofty ideals of our saints, seers and thinkers of our country. And this is to be seen in a hidden form, in a subtle form in the Constitution. Therefore, I leave you with this, my final statement, that Indian Constitutional reflects our civilizational ethos. It is not only the other way around that the civilizational ethos has affected the Constitution, influenced the Constitution, but it has become so, now apparent in a subtle manner, of course, but it reflects the civilizational ethos. Thank you, sir, for inviting me. It is always a pleasure to come here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging and enriching speech and given us a good insight about the civilization ethos on Indian Constitution. Now I request our Vice President to give the vote of thanks.
Very good evening, everybody. Esteemed Chief Guest of this function, Honorable Mr. Justice Harish Tandon, sir, the Honorable Chief Justice of Orissa High Court, the Chief Guest of this evening, Honorable Mr. Justice Sashikant Mishra, Guest of Honor and Chief Speaker, Honorable Judges of the Orissa High Court, Deputy Solicitor General of the India for High Court of Orissa, respected Sir Sri Manoj Kumar Mishra, Senior Advocate, President of Orissa High Court Bar Association, Secretary Abhijit Patnaik, and all other office bearers of the High Court Bar Association, learned senior members and learned members of the bar, my dear colleagues, brothers, sisters, ladies and gentlemen. The High Court Bar Association is continuing its Madhusudan Law Lecture series from 8th May 2025. The 7th Law Lecture held today on the topic Effect on Indian Civilization, Ethos on Indian Constitution. It is a great honor and privilege for me to extend the vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of the High Court Bar Association and the entire legal fraternity, extended the vote of thanks to all the dignitaries, chief guest, guest of honor, and speakers on the dais and off the dais for gracing and making this seminar really successful. I would like to thank Honorable Sri Justice Harish Tandon, sir, the Honorable Chief Justice of Orissa High Court for gracing the occasion and spending time out of his busy schedule. I would like to further thank Honorable Sri Justice Sashikant, sir, the guest of honor and chief speaker, for his inspiring and illuminating words and profound thoughts on the topic and for making his gracious presence for his busiest schedule to grace the occasion and sharing his valuable thoughts on the interesting and exhilarating topic. Dr. Ambedkar once said, constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment. It has to be cultivated, and politically democracy cannot last unless the lies at the base of its social democracy. These words shows Indian civilization has a deepening effect on the constitution. Your valuable words expanding the scope of the constitution by incorporating the Indian civilization ethos will inspire the advocates to fight for the justice while keeping the Indian values in mind. Thank you very much, my lord. I would like to extend my heartiest thanks to all the dignitaries, guests, honorable judges, officer of the registry, learned senior members and learned members of the bar, print and electronic media for their kind support, participation and gracious presence to make the symposium successful. Finally, I thank all of you present here for making this function a great success. With these words, I conclude my vote of thanks. Once again, I thank you all. Jai Jagannath. Namaskar.
Before we part, we have some refreshments. Please enjoy the refreshment. Sir, requires our honorable judges also to please. Sir,